Hi everyone, here I've got a fun video for you. This will help you sound more natural again and more fluent in your English speaking. And it will also help you to understand native speakers much better. So that's what we want, isn't it? To sound more fluent and to understand English speakers. Now, when we're having a conversation, what do we do if we don't know what to say? If somebody asks us a question and we need time to think, what do you say? Do you just close your mouth, go quiet? How can we fill the spaces between the words? If you can fill the spaces between the words, the sentences, you will sound a bit more natural, more confident even, and more fluent. This is also great for the IELTS speaking test. We don't know what questions they are going to ask you in the IELTS test, and you need a little bit of thinking time. So what can we use for thinking time? Of course, many people say, so actually this is okay. You can use this. It's better than just, sometimes it's better, but sometimes we use and too much. But what else do we use? I will demonstrate to you. Here are 3 questions with Nick, and listen to what I use while I'm thinking, or when I want to give my opinion, or in between the words. Let's go! What's the most beautiful place you've ever been to? Let's see, that's a hard one. Yeah, I've been to many beautiful places. Which is the best? I have to think about that one. I reckon, well, what comes to mind first is a place in Japan called Lake Toeda. A big, beautiful lake in the northwest of Japan, near Akita. And I went there with my parents, with my mum and brother. And I remember this was just such a beautiful, such beautiful scenery, And there were just gorgeous trees and the lake sparkled. You know what I mean? It was just, it was so good. Next one. Tell me about the dirtiest place you've ever been. The dirtiest place. Wow. All right. Dirty. Well, I'd have to say a place in Bangkok. Well, Bangkok, actually, in Thailand. When I went to Bangkok, I had never really been to a place like that, which was almost third world in some ways. They have a great tourist economy there, but I did see a lot of homeless people that I had never really seen living like that. And they were lying around in the streets, and to be honest, it was quite shocking for me. And yeah, so that was but what was really dirty, I mean, it just seemed quite dirty in those areas. Of course, I've been to lots of dirty places in Australia as well. If you go to the country towns of Australia in the outback, in the desert, well, I mean, there's a lot of dust and a lot of dirt, and it's pretty grotty, right? So, yeah, that's just how it is in the desert in Australia. You know what I mean? Which country has the most delicious food? Good question. Well, to be honest, I'd have to say France. I've tried a lot of different cuisines from all over the world. And in my opinion, France is just fabulous at cooking beautiful, sumptuous, gorgeous food, and particularly their sweets. Really, their sweets are so just divine and beautifully done, and they really know how to make gorgeous desserts and sweets, and they just really know how to indulge in beautiful food. You know what I mean? It's like just the best. But I'd have to say pretty close is Greece as well. Greece does beautiful food. They really know how to enjoy eating. So, there we go. I've highlighted in here some fillers that you can use. We can say things like, well, and if you're not sure, you can say, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think of that new TV show on Netflix? I don't know. You know is another one. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's quite common. This is to get somebody's agreement. You want them to agree with you and talk with you. You can say, you know what I mean? Yeah. Often we say, right. Now this is very American. This is used a lot in the US. So when you also want someone to kind of agree with you, you can say, right. So, for example, it gets really hot in Australia in the summer, right? I mean, that's another one. I mean, it can get up to 40 degrees. So we use I mean when we want to really emphasize something. I mean, it can get up to 40 degrees, right? So when I say right, I mean, you know, right? You know that. You have experienced it before. It's very American, but we are starting to use it in Australia a lot as well, and other countries. Now, you would have heard in my speaking there, I used like a lot. Not like I like chocolate, or would you like a coffee? But like is often used when we're thinking. It's a more modern way of talking. So what'd you do on the weekend? I went out and I had some breakfast with a friend, and it was a really good cafe. Like they have these great smoothies there, and like excellent food, and So I'm not saying I like it necessarily. I'm just using it to fill in the spaces. This is quite modern, and a lot of young people use this. Have to be careful not to use it too much, especially if you're doing an academic IELTS test or something like that. Other ones that you would have heard. If somebody asks you a question that is an interesting question and you have not thought about it before, you can say, good question. Let me see. Or you can say, I'd have to say, if you're giving your opinion, I'd have to say, or you can say, to be honest. This can give you a little bit of thinking time. To be honest, or if you're going to really give a strong opinion, you can say, to be honest, I don't like that kind of food, or I don't like that sort of thing. What about if you are stuck for a word? What I mean is if you forget somebody's name or the name of a place. We often say, what do you call it? What do you call it? So I was on my computer yesterday and I was fixing my website and I was trying to use that, what do you call it? That program, that software, what do you call it? So that's a way to say, what's it called? What's it called? Or you can say, what's it called? And if you forget someone's name, which we do sometimes, you can say, oh, I bumped into, what's his name? What's his name yesterday? John. What's his name? What's his name? What is his name? What's his name? So there you go. These are common, natural, real English fillers, we can call them, when we are trying to think or give our opinion or we forgot something. So there you have it. I will list them here for you. Well, I don't know. You know? You know what I mean? Yeah? Right? Like, I see. Good question. To be honest, what do you call it? What's his name? Now, using these will help you sound really natural. And they can also be useful in IELTS when you have to think quickly about what to talk about. So have fun with these fillers, write them down. And I suggest just pay attention now. Listen to real English conversations. So watch movies, but especially watch documentaries and talk shows so you can hear real conversations that are not from a script. Or listen to podcasts. Or, even better, real conversations. If you are in an English-speaking country or somewhere where people speak English, go out and listen. Listen for these fillers. Have fun with it. See you next time.